Welcome back, viewers, to another episode of Questions with Matt and Mark. We answer 2 questions each week that are pressing in the news or relatable. Mark, you are first, my friend.
Yeah, so regarding the markets, what is the difference between, say, a sector and an industry? Because I think a lot of people hear those 2 terms and they get a little confused.
They think they might be interchangeable?
Right.
That's a good question. So what we'll say for this, viewers, is sectors are going to be the 11 areas of the market that are going to be covered, like technology, consumer staples, consumer discretionary.
So on a broad level.
Broad level. And then the sectors, you kind of dive down. In fact, why don't we do it this way? Now that I've said that, Mark, why don't you explain the differences in detail between that now?
Yeah, so the sectors are the broader view, right? So 10,000 foot view. But if you dig deeper into the sectors, you could also classify an industry as like a subsector. So for example, let's take the technology sector. Within the technology sector, there is a computer hardware industry, there is a software industry, and there's a semiconductor industry. For consumer discretionary sector, there is a retail industry, right? Mm-hmm. So you can think of industries of like subsectors. So for example, Apple is in the technology sector, but they're in the computer hardware industry.
Subsection.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a good way to think about it. Another example is the stock NVIDIA in the technology sector, but in the semiconductor industry. So it's just a way to break it down, and you can see what industries are driving the performance of certain sectors.
Yep.
And then you can drill down even further and say, hey, which stocks are driving these certain industries within the larger sectors.
It's a great way of saying it. And viewers, you can get a lot of exposure to these different, not only sectors, but also the industries through various exchange-traded funds as well as mutual funds. Mm-hmm. And that way you don't have to buy just one specific name.
Right.
Make sense?
Great.
All right. Join us next week for another episode of Questions with Matt and Mark. We will see you then.